Hey guys, welcome to the most awaited webinar from AdmitKard today. AdmitKard, along with Indo Canada, brings the inside out for Canada and at the most top 10 universities of Canada in a series of webinars starting today. My name is Pragya and I lead the mentorship vertical here at AdmitKard, and I welcome you to the day one, that is the first webinar of this series along with Indo Canada. So everybody who's joined us today, welcome again. Hi Mehak, hi Amita, hi Ruheen, hi Ritika, hi Bhumika. So we have a lot of people joining us. So guys, can you quickly just ping hi to us so that we know that you've joined us? Hi Rabia, hi Gurleen, hi good evening. Nazima, hi Rachna. It's really great to have you all here. So today on day one, we have Ali, Prashant, Hannah, Fawal from top Canadian universities. And tomorrow, the same time, that is 7 p.m. IST, we will have another webinar with a new set of mentors from the rest of the top universities across Canada. But starting today, as we promised, we will cover every little detail that you need to know if you're planning to study in Canada, right? Okay, so hi Shweta, hi Shakti, Muhammad. Welcome guys. Okay, so let's quickly start. So first of all, discussing what we are going to talk about today specifically. So first of all, one very important thing is to understand the campus experience once you go to Canada. And since all the speakers are in fact students of one of the most prominent universities, we'll discuss their campus experience process that you need to go through to in Canada. We'll understand how you need to manage your international student life, understanding how exactly it is different in Canada. Studying in India, right? At the same time, more importantly, we will be talking about how to face the competition of jobs in Canada, what is the ROI, and in the end, we'll have an exclusive chat section where you can ask all the questions from our mentors that we have today, right? So I would actually start by introducing AdmitKard to all you guys, right? So our founders, Piyush Bhatia and Rachit Agrawal, both believe in a common term that is mentorship, right? So starting with what AdmitKard is, right? So AdmitKard actually runs on the principle for the student and by the student. You gain information from somebody who has been in your shoes, has faced the problems as you are in fact facing, right? And somebody, who's perfect to solve all the questions for you, right? So from all these mentors, we have one of our mentors today, Ali Khan, right? Who will be introduced to you in a bit. Before that, AdmitKard is a tech platform which really helps students, not just from when you're making your applications, but from day one when you think about studying abroad. And not just that, we help students with the help of mentors. So to explain mentorship more, mentors are in fact students studying abroad or who have studied abroad to help you out, right? And going by the guideline again, AdmitKard is for the student and by the student. And today we have one such great mentor with us who's been really active in helping out all the students. So let me introduce to you Ali Khan, who's in fact the founder of Indo Canada. So Ali, over to you. Can you quickly introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi guys, it's amazing to see a large number of people joining the webinar. I'm overwhelmed by your responses. Hi everybody. Good morning from Canada and good evening to India. My name is Ali and I'm the founder and host at the Indo Canada webinar and the moderator for Kickstart Your Journey webinar. I am currently an incoming third-year student studying commerce at the University of Toronto, St. George campus. I have had the pleasure of working with Amazon as a prime student campus manager, Byju's as the business development intern, and my own startup, Smart, as the founder and CEO. Originally from Delhi, India, actually from Noida, I had a lot of ambitions to succeed academically and professionally in Canada. Unfortunately, the transition from high school to college isn't easy. International students struggle in their first year due to lack of resources and support from their universities. To combat that, I founded the Indo Canada webinar in December 2019. With AdmitKard's massive student network and Indo Canada's prestigious panel of speakers, we hope that we're able to deliver value to the young leaders of tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ali. So, everyone who's watching us on YouTube, we have a link in the comment section below. So, just click that to join us here, and you'll be able to ask all the questions from our esteemed mentors here, right? So, going forward, Ali, one important question, and why we are in fact, we have such a panel here, and what the importance of mentorship is. Let us quickly discuss that. Why exactly do we need information from somebody who studied abroad, right? So all
Definitely,
over
very,
you.
very good question. So to continue, I would like to say that mentorship is vital for student success. Mentors are like your friends, teachers, and parents at the same time. They help you realize your real potential by connecting you with like-minded and resourceful people, providing valuable guidance and personal support. That is why I feel mentorship is really, really important for all students who plan to study abroad.
Perfect. So in fact, along with AdmitKard, we have 600 plus mentors from all the countries where a student might aspire to go. And we help every student along with a mentor, who can handhold them in that entire process, give them the right piece of information, right? So going forward, yeah. So we have an esteemed panel today who has in fact studied from some of the top universities in Canada. So Ali, at this moment, I would hand it over to you to introduce our esteemed panel today.
Thank you, Pragya. So today we have the brightest minds from the University of Toronto, Waterloo, and McMaster's to answer all your questions today. Hannah Shimoga is representing the University of Toronto. She's an incoming fourth-year student who's currently pursuing a degree in neuroscience. Hannah has worked with Cisco as a sales development intern for 2 consecutive years and has been my colleague in the LinkedIn Learning Student Ambassador Program. Prashant Bagga is representing the University of Waterloo. Prashant is an incoming fourth-year student who's currently pursuing a degree in nanotechnology engineering. Prashant is a star-studded student and has worked with Microsoft as a product manager and is the founder of Product Bytes, a community for product lovers. Next, we have Fawad Ahmed. Fawad Ahmed is representing McMaster University. Fawad is our senior most speaker and has recently completed his master's in biomedical science along with a business MBA. Fawad has worked with Horizon as an associate product manager and as a board of director for Bridging Borders, a registered nonprofit association. So the floor is all yours, Hannah. Would you like to introduce yourself to the young leaders of tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. It's so great to see all of you here today. It's great to see so many people online, and we're super excited to have a conversation here today. So as Ellie mentioned, I'm going into my 4th year at the University of Toronto, and I'm completing a double major in neuroscience and psychology. So personally, I'm super passionate about things like mental health, technology, entrepreneurship. As Ellie mentioned, I've worked with Cisco in the past, and I've also worked with LinkedIn as both a LinkedIn Learning Ambassador as well as a campus editor. And working with these tech companies has really instilled in me a desire to integrate my background in science and my love of science with my love of technology. So my aim is to create products that can enhance our well-being. And I strongly believe that knowledge is a power meant to be shared. And so I'm super grateful to have had the opportunity to share my knowledge and voice with hundreds of people, whether it's through platforms like TEDx, the United Nations, and webinars like this one. So I'm super excited to be here and to share some really cool university experience and knowledge with you guys.
Thank you so much, Hannah. That was a wonderful introduction. Prashant, thank you for joining in. Would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Definitely. First off, thank you, Ali and Pragya, for this webinar. You guys have put a lot of work into it, I can see. So I'm Prashant. I study nanotechnology engineering at the University of Waterloo. It was a dream to land into Canada and work at the biggest companies in the world. And through that, I got the opportunity to work at Microsoft. I am also part of LinkedIn as a LinkedIn campus editor. And finally, I got to work at my dream city, New York City. I was in New York City this January. I was working as a product manager, as a technical product manager. And then COVID hit. So I had to fly back home. So now I'm over here with you guys in India. I'm actually from Surat, Gujarat. So it's great to be back with family, back to my roots, back in my room where I started dreaming. And I'm really happy. I'm really excited to help you all in your journey.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Prashant. That was filled with excitement. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Fawad, the floor is all yours.
Sure. So for me, I guess I was always passionate about science and combined that with business while at university. So in last year, I just graduated from my master's, and through that time, I also had a chance to work in with rare disease like pharmaceuticals at Horizon. This year, I'm actually part of like a virtual telemedicine startup. So I'm kind of helping to grow that as well. But yeah, it's been an exciting journey, just kind of combining my interests and studying at McMaster as well. And I'd be happy to share that with you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, guys, for the introduction. And now we will be moving forward with the panel discussion you guys have been waiting for. So to begin, we will be talking about campus experience. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So my first question is, why did you choose this particular university? Are there any struggles you faced in your first year? Can you tell us more about your campus experience in terms of a typical day, student life, clubs, fraternities, sororities, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. So I can go first. So in terms of why I chose University of Toronto, I guess there's three main reasons. One of them is, of course, its reputation. U of T is consistently one of the highest ranked unis in Canada, and it's renowned internationally as well. There's like a plethora of opportunities, whether it's for academics, research, internship opportunities, as well. One of the other main factors was the location. So U of T has three campuses. There's the St. George campus, which is downtown Toronto. And there's also a campus in Mississauga, as well as one in Scarborough. So I chose the St. George campus, which is the main one located in downtown, mainly because there's so many different companies that are located downtown. So it's really easy to find internship opportunities, as well as just for the fun of it. There's so many activities you can do downtown. I'm originally from Edmonton, which is a much smaller city than Toronto. So coming here, the lifestyle changed. That's what I was looking forward to as well. So that's another big reason I came. And finally, also just because there's so many opportunities. Like I said, U of T's tri-campus, so there's a really large community that you have here. So there's plenty of opportunities that you can get. And so those are the main reasons why I ended up choosing U of T as my final choice. Some of the struggles I would say is, like I mentioned, I came from a small city, but not just that, I also came from a super small school. So the high school I attended only had 300 kids in the entire school. And fast forward to first year U of T, my first class had 1,700 kids in the entire, like just in one class. So going from like such a small school to such a large community was definitely a struggle to adapt at first. It was a little bit overwhelming, but definitely you get used to it over the years. And you end up loving it. In terms of student life, I would say at U of T, there's 7 different colleges. So these are kind of your hub at where you stay, because for first years, you're guaranteed residence. So you would stay at whatever college you get aligned with. I actually ended up living off campus. So I was more involved with the Commuter Student Center. So the point is there's a lot of different groups that you can join, whether you're part of a college residence or not. There's different hub groups meant to engage your student lifestyle and get you acquainted with the university experience. So your lifestyle really depends on what program you're in and what college you're part of. But there's definitely changes, and there's definitely a lot of community support that you get.
That was a very well-rounded answer. Thank you, Hannah. So just to add on to her point, as she mentioned, U of T has 3 different campuses. The campus in downtown Toronto, which is called St. George, is a commuter campus. It's not a closed campus in the sense that you will have buildings scattered in different parts of the city. You will have restaurants near you. You will have offices, roads, and cars. Whereas the Scarborough and the Mississauga campus are closed campuses. These are protected campuses by the university. And all of them, as I would say, have their own pros and cons. St. George is known very well for research. Scarborough is the only campus which has a co-op program in U of T. And Mississauga is one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever come across. So all the campuses have their pros and cons. And that was a little bit about the campus experience in U of T. Next, we have Waterloo.
Before actually we move to Waterloo, so for all the students who are putting down the queries, we'll have an exclusive live Q&A section towards the end. But I'll take up a few questions here that we have. We have Yash saying, I have an offer letter from Thompson's River University, and I'll be pursuing international business management. So I wanted to know how the business job opportunities are in British Columbia. So anybody among you can take that up.
So British Columbia, that's a very good question. We have a webinar tomorrow where we have a speaker from UBC. I think he would be able to answer the question better if that solves the answer, because we have a very personalized speaker from UBC who's actually studying in the Sauder School of Business. And I think he would be able to answer that question better. Yeah.
Perfect. So, Sanvi, since you're talking about the scholarships, we'll be discussing that towards the end. So, don't worry. So, everyone who's shooting up the queries, we'll take all of them towards the end in an exclusive chat section. Also, you can join the link on the top. So, for everyone, you can see a link on the top that gives you an exclusive gateway to chat with Ali Khan, and you can join the link quickly so that once the webinar is over, you can get these solved.
Definitely. And you can connect with
At the time, again, for people can click on the link that is given in the comment section, and you can join us here so that you can ask questions live. So moving on to University of Waterloo. Over to you, Ali.
Prashant.
Yep, definitely. All right. So why I chose University of Waterloo? I think one of the reasons is simple. It's the co-op program. We get to do 6 internships before graduating, and this basically means that we have 2 years worth of experience even before graduating, even before, like, just when you turn 21 or 22. And that's what excited me. I was excited to get down into the real world and start working. So that was the dream for me. But again, I would be lying if I say that that was the only reason. The biggest reason was luck. Like, literally one day, my uncle who lived in Canada, in Toronto, he flew down back home. He says, he's talking to my dad and he's like, wait, why are you sending him to IIT? Send him to University of Waterloo to study nanotechnology engineering. And that's it. Like, that day I applied, I started my admission process and I got into Waterloo. So it was, I would say the luck is the biggest reason for me. Now, if you talk about struggles, struggle is huge because number one is culture shock. Like, a very simple example, growing up, I used to play cricket. I used to listen to Arjit Singh. And now when I come to Canada, all my classmates, they only play basketball and they only listen to rap. There is no similarity. I cannot connect with guys of my own age. So I found it really difficult to connect with people. And number two was lifestyle, the food, the kind of, like, really cool food names that we throw around. I had no idea what sushi is, what sesame is. So it was all like, Googling up and learning about these things. Then culture, like, literally in Canada, people are so kind. They would hold door for you until you walk through. I learned that by watching other people and literally understanding that why do we even do that? Like, in India, we never cared about it. So, like, these kind of things and other nuances. And lastly was the English language. Like, I only spoke English in school in front of my teacher, in front of my principal, or when I'm participating in a competition, like a debate competition or an extempore. But coming over here, you are using English every day, so you have to learn the slangs, the nuances of English. I think that was super important. Now, so that was the struggle. Now, coming back to my typical day, I would say that in my first year, I lived on campus, and I would recommend definitely live on campus because you will build more friendships and you don't have to worry about food and laundry and those kind of things. I spent my first term with a lot of international students, with people from India and Pakistan. It was a fun ride. I used to spend, like, from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I was in class, and then I would, I would go down and play ping pong and pool with them. Later on in my upper years, I started becoming part of clubs. I was part of blockchain club, side project club, product management club, and I also started attending a lot of conferences and starting to immerse myself in the culture of Toronto, of Canada. So yeah, that's why I chose Waterloo. Those were my struggles, and that's how my typical day looked like.
Great. Thank you so much, Prashant. That was very engaging, and you're very right about the culture shock which people feel. Even I was very intimidated in my first year. Next, we have Fawad from McMaster.
Sure. So I guess one of the main reasons why I picked McMaster was because I was very interested in sciences throughout childhood, and McMaster had a very strong reputation in health sciences and research. It was also conveniently in my hometown, so I didn't have to travel that far to attend university. And through high school, I'd done, like, the IB program. So I guess one of the main struggles I found with doing the IB program versus university was that IB tried to make you more well-rounded. For example, in math, you learned all sorts of different areas of math, used a graphing calculator, etc. But in university, because I was doing sciences, there wasn't that much required in mathematics other than just calculus. So I think it was just kind of that, it was like a bit odd. But overall, like my campus experience has been phenomenal. McMaster has a wide variety of clubs that I was able to kind of choose from. So there were nonprofits. So I immersed myself in volunteering with UNICEF. But then throughout the whole process, I also ran my own startup while in university. And there's a, I guess like a growing entrepreneurship kind of community at McMaster. So I was very excited to be a part of that and help lead that. But again, so as I mentioned, McMaster also has great research labs. So by the end of my university education, I was doing a thesis in a lab and working on some very cool kind of science research. So yeah, I learned a lot from the overall experience, and McMaster has great resources that were available in order for me to do that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Fawad. The next, we have the admission process.
So before that, actually, Ali, I would like to address everyone who's here. So I understand you're asking a lot of questions here, and don't worry, we'll be taking all of them up. We promise that we'll give you best of the information, and most of the things that you have been asking will be actually covered in our webinar. So just stay tuned, a little bit of more patience. Also, you have a link on the top, so you can join that, and we'll exclusively answer each and every question that you guys have. Also, for admissions process, for scholarships, for which university to go to, we'll be taking up that in our immediate next section, which is about the admission process. So over to you, Ali, again.
Yeah. So we move on to the admission process. So can you run the students through the admission process for your university? Are there any particular advantages of applying early? If yes, please do share the minimum 12th grade GPA required in your curriculum, IELTS score, and any supplemental applications if involved.
Yeah, so for U of T, and actually for any Ontario university, you have to apply via what we call the OUAC, which is the Ontario University Application Center. And so section 105 of this online application would be designated for international students. And once you apply on the OUAC website, you'll get acknowledgement from U of T, usually within 2 weeks of submitting your initial application. So the application deadline is typically in the first week of November, but this is more what they call the recommended deadline. So it's like the first earlier deadline, but I would try and send in your application by this deadline because applications are admitted on a rolling basis and their final deadline is closer to January. But since they're admitted on a rolling basis, it's always better to just apply as early as possible. As well, if you can't get in on the first round based on your interim reports, then you will get a chance to be reconsidered at the end of the year based on your final 12th grade results. So there's always a benefit to applying early. And if you don't get in the first round, you will be considered. So don't worry about that. In terms of admission requirements, the entrance averages are typically above 85%, but this varies depending on what program you want to go into. So typically engineering would have the highest entrance requirement, but it varies whether you're in science or humanities or commerce. So I would definitely just look directly on the website for that as well. When in terms of supplemental applications, usually no programs at U of T require that. But when you apply on the OUSD and you get that U of T link, like I mentioned, it'll also say all the specific requirements you need for your specific program. So if there is a supplemental application required, they would let you know. But for most cases, you don't need it. In terms of the IELTS, you need an overall band of 6.5, and you can't have any band below 6. As well, if you're doing an IB diploma, you need a total score of 27, and that doesn't include bonus points. And that's like the minimum requirement, but most programs require a significantly higher score than that. So again, you'll find all that information depending on what program you're trying to go into. Another thing I wanted to mention is it also varies depending on what campus you want to go into. So St. George, the main campus, which is in downtown, typically has the highest entrance requirement rate. followed by Mississauga, and then finally by Scarborough in that order. So those are the main admission requirements.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Hannah. So like Hannah mentioned, most of the programs don't have a supplemental application. However, when I applied for Rockland Commerce, which is the business school in the University of Toronto St. George campus, there was a very extensive supplemental application involved. So just to brief you guys a little bit about it, we had to submit a video through a behavioral interview. We were asked a random set of questions by the interviewer virtually, and we also had to complete three essay questions, which we were given in the end. Two of them were timed. We were given around 30 minutes to answer those questions, and one had a deadline which we could complete later on. So that's all about U of T. Next, we have Waterloo for the admission process.
All right. So I think Hannah laid it out pretty clear. The admission process, you have to apply via OUAC in the section 105. And that is that is it. And then after that, like, you have to apply as early as possible because it is on a rolling basis. So admission process is pretty clear. Now, if I talk about the admission requirements for my particular program, which is nanotechnology engineering, number one, you have to have a minimum of 70% in math, physics, chemistry, English, and other course for your 12th grade. So that is the requirement. And plus, overall, you need to have 85%. So individually, 70%, and overall 85%. That's a requirement for my program, as well as there is an admission information form. Now, this is the extra supplement information that Waterloo requires. This is the place where they want to know about your past experiences, the extracurriculars you're part of, what you learned from them, and your goals, your aspirations. Overall, they want to know how you stand out. Like, you have to showcase how you stand out, and you have to convince them that you are the right fit for the university. And if we talk about the English proficiency, the IELTS examination, Waterloo doesn't have a requirement. So for Waterloo, if your first language is English, or you have studied in an English setting for last 4 years, you don't have to give an IELTS examination. But I would still recommend you do it. The only reason is because you're applying to other universities as well, which might have an IELTS requirement. So definitely give your IELTS, but just for a fact, Waterloo doesn't require IELTS examination. Just because in India, I'm guessing most of you have studied in an English setting for last 4 years. So yeah, that's the admission requirement for nanotechnology engineering at Waterloo.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Prashant. It was a very well-rounded answer. Next, we have Fawad from McMaster.
Hey Fawad, we can't hear you. Maybe you might be on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So for me, because I studied in a secondary school here in high school, I had the option to choose between either my grades from high school here or my IB scores. Because IB scores come out like a bit later, I think for early admission, my high school grades were used. But so kind of those were the options. So initially, if you want to get into sciences at McMaster, you need an average of like 85% or above to get in. So while in university, I did also a couple of different changes to my programs. So I was in general sciences when I first started out in first year, but in third and fourth year, I had specialized into this program called like biomedical discovery and commercialization, and that there was like an extensive kind of application process where I used a supplementary application, and they also conducted like in-person interviews called like MMI interviews, and so kind of that was like a process of them trying to see if you were a good fit for the program. But that program starts in third and fourth year. So initially in the first year, you could be doing general sciences, and it has a low barrier of entry. But kind of that might be a good way for you also to learn more about kind of what you want to do, what you want to pursue, and then kind of go from there.
Great. Thank you so much, Fawad. Next, we have the academic flexibility. So my
So
question.
just 1 second before we actually start with academic flexibility, I'll just take a bit of questions here that relates to the admission process, right? So for the bachelor students, we have one student who's asking. My sister is currently in the 4th year, so it's in fact for masters, right? So my sister is currently in 4th year of law. What options does she have in Canada? It's a question from Kashish. So if anybody amongst you can answer that.
Uh, so once again, this panel is mostly meant for undergraduate studies. But if maybe Fawad knows something about law in masters, maybe he can answer that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the answer to this, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with law. I'm much more familiar with just like medicine, like medical schools,
Right.
versus like law school.
Again, I think AdmitKard has a lot of mentors, a lot of resources for you guys to help you guide through the admission process for undergraduate, masters, any degree. So you can, of course, contact Pragya after the session. But our speakers are ready to answer any questions you might have about undergraduate admissions. Unfortunately, we're too young to answer questions about postgraduate. All of us are like 20, 21. So I apologize if we were not valuable.
No worries on that. So, guys, for everyone, I would actually make sure you get connected to a relevant mentor. So, just join again the link on the top. And again, we are getting a very overwhelming response. First of all, thank you everyone for joining the link so fast. But stay active on the webinar. We'll cover most of the questions that you have. So one question I would like to take here is from Amisha Chawla. She's asking, is studying business in Canada worth it as an undergrad? So anybody amongst you can answer that.
That's a great question. I can answer this. So I would say that it's very, very beneficial for you to study commerce in Canada. You have a lot of opportunities. Every company in Canada has to have a corporate division. They need people in marketing. They need people in accountancy and finance, etc. And Canada is home to one of the best business schools all across the world. U of T is home to Rotten Commerce, which has the #1 MBA program in Canada. It is home to Ivy School of Business in Western University, which is also one of the best. Then we have a Sauder School of Business in UBC. So the number of options in terms of business are a lot. And the business schools, particularly in Canada, are very highly ranked all across the world. And the job opportunities are never ending. So I would definitely recommend you to pursue business as an undergraduate in Canada.
One thing I would want to add to that is that just make sure that you do like some sort of co-op or an internship, because that will help you be very competitive in the market and give you a better idea of kind of what role you want to do in business as well.
Definitely, very, very good answer. It's very important for you to go above and beyond of your academics as well. Pursue extracurriculars, internships, co-ops, just like Fawad mentioned.
Perfect. So I hope that solves your question. Next question is from Ruheen. Here, I wanted to ask, what are the pros and cons of living out of the campus?
That's a good question.
I guess I can tackle it because I haven't really stayed on campus. So I guess like some pros of staying off campus is that like you can, I guess, get your own place. Like it's more flexible because you don't have to be restricted to like a meal plan or whatever like the school gives you. You can go out and find your own. I would say most people, like I was lucky to be able to stay off campus because I had my family living in the city with me. But for most people who are coming on their own, I would recommend staying on campus actually, because it's just a lot more easier. Like you have everything sort of given to you. You get to meet new people because like I said, especially at U of T, there's different residence hubs. And so there's different like groups that are part of it. And there's leaders as part of those residences that are there to make your experience better in your first year, especially. So I would definitely recommend staying on campus first year, and then maybe in the second and third year in future, you can go off campus. Maybe if you find some friends in first year to go off campus together with later, it becomes easier. But when you're just getting used to things, it might be easier to stay on campus, I would say.
That was a very good answer. I absolutely agree with Hannah with the fact that your first year should be on campus to get a lot of resources, a lot of help, a lot of mentorship from people. Coming to a new country isn't easy at all. And fortunately, the on-campus residences help you transition from high school, college, which is really important. And you get the meal plan. You don't have to cook food, which is very hard. Once you come to Canada, you'll have to do everything on your own, which is not an easy task. So living on campus somehow decreases that kind of workload. And just like she mentioned, in the second and third year, when you have a good group of friends, you can obviously move off campus with them. You have more opportunities in the sense of an entire room of yours, an apartment of yours, kitchen, and a lot of customizations and etc. you can do. So that is what we would recommend.
Some of the things to consider also is just like the cost of living. Just make sure that the city that you're living in doesn't have too expensive rent prices. I know Toronto versus, for example, like Hamilton, it's crazy, the rent prices there. So if you are even kind of renting your own place or living on campus, price might be a variable there.
Definitely, yeah.
Perfect. So so I hope that solved your query, Ruheen. Next we have Mukul, who's asking, TOEFL is TOEFL accepted? Yes, it is accepted. Same question is from Rose, from Akshay as well. So yes, TOEFL accepted. Going forward, I think how early should you start preparation if you are a grade 12 student? So to answer that, I don't have a clear name, but we have Gigi who has put up this question. To answer you, we'll actually take up a complete timeline on how month on month you need to go forward. So I'll explain that towards the end of the webinar. So stay tuned.
Hello?
We might have lost her.
Yeah. All right, guys. It must be internet issues. Next, we are going to move forward with academic flexibility. So the question is, how would you describe the academic workload and difficulty in your university? Is there a lot of flexibility to switch programs, majors, or minors if someone changes their mind?
Yeah, so first off, I would say U of T does have like a reputation both within Canada and outside of being particularly challenging for students. So typically, like, class sizes in the first year are super large. Like I mentioned, like 1,700 kids. And then over the years, they become smaller. Like I'm going into my fourth year now, and my classes are only going to be like 30 students in a class. So part of that is because people are going into their specialized programs, and not everyone's obviously going to be in the same program. But another reason is because people actually drop out or switch programs after their first year. So we do have a pretty high like dropout rate at U of T. And there definitely is a reputation that it's quite challenging for many students. But I would say in my personal experience, like, yes, first year was slightly challenging, but there's also a lot of help that you can get. And so it's not necessarily like, it's definitely not impossible to do well here. And it definitely gets super easier like over the years. So for my experience, first year was a little bit tough just because it's a new environment, new lifestyle, like changing from high school to university. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit challenging. But I used to go to office hours with my profs. Like I said, I'm in sciences. So for us, we have review sessions during final exam season with all the professors. We've got academic advisors, counselors. So there's a really big support system here that's really meant for you to succeed. So I wouldn't be too intimidated by the reputation because it's all based on your personal experience and how you make the most of it. And it's definitely very possible and very likely for you to do well here. So I was in science. So first year, it's for science students, it's general for everyone. And so this is really flexible because you get to choose your major in your second year. And so first year, you can take a whole bunch of classes in whatever area of science you want. And then you can get a feel for what kind of programs you might be interested into. And then you would apply in your second year. So the program that I switched into neuroscience is kind of competitive compared to some of the other programs. So it all depends on how well you do in your first year. And then switching between those programs, again, depends on how well you do in your future years. So if I wanted to switch from neuroscience to like cognitive science, I would need a specific specific grades in those courses to be able to switch. But I would say in terms of flexibility, it's a lot easier to switch within your program just to within your faculty just to a different program versus changing within faculties itself. So for example, if I wanted to switch from neuroscience to cognitive science, it would be pretty easy for me. But if I wanted to switch from neuroscience to, let's say, engineering or commerce, that's going to be a lot more difficult. And that would probably add on a couple of years to my graduation. So switching between programs is pretty much as easy as you make it. If you do want to switch, there is flexibility. You just need to take the required courses and have the required grades for that.
Great answer. Thank you, Hannah. Just wanted to add one more point here. So a lot of students are not aware of this. Once you get admitted into U of T, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have your program. You have to get a certain amount of marks to qualify for the program. Let's say that I got into Rotten Commerce my first year. That doesn't mean that I have the specialist with me. I have to score around 73% in economics and management and marketing in order to get this. Other universities do not have this headache on your mind. So make sure that you choose your options wisely. U of T, on one hand, asks you to get a certain percentage. If you don't get it, then unfortunately, you will not get the program you have aspired for. So I hope that solves a lot of queries. Next, we have Waterloo.
Yeah, so just taking a moment here. So hi, Karthik, you've been pinging a common question here, so we'll turn up quickly.
Hello? Might have lost. Hi, Pragya. Can you hear us? Hello? Hello? Hi, Pragya.
You might be on mute.
Yeah, you audible, Ali.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I couldn't hear the question which you had.
Okay, so I'll repeat that again. Just to check for the students currently in class 11, looking forward for engineering and computer science, which university would you recommend? So we have this question from Karthik. So could you just answer that very quickly?
Prashant would be the best person to answer this. I think you're.
I guess I would be super biased. I'll be super biased. The best university of computer engineering is Waterloo. We host Hack the North, which is the North America's biggest hackathon, and like we literally have choppers going around on our campus. And like we had Jack Dorsey last year on Hack the North, the CEO of Twitter and Square. So definitely come to Waterloo.
No, I recommend Waterloo for engineering, computer engineering too.
I absolutely agree with both of them. Waterloo has the #1 computer science program, and with that co-op program, it's just amazing. The opportunities you can get, they're tremendous.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll take one quick question again, which has been coming up a lot. We have Sandeep, Akash, Aditya asking that is SAT required for undergrad in Canada?
I don't know. SAT is not required for undergraduate in Canada. The only thing you need would be IELTS or TOEFL if you're not in an English registered institution. And your minimum marks, it depends whether you're an IB, CBSE, ICSE, but SAT is not required at all.
Perfect. So we'll take up the questions, rest of the questions very soon, guys. So just stay tuned. And also, there's a chat link on the top, and I'll be constantly pinging that on the chat, so you can join that for an exclusive chat section. Again, for people on YouTube, please join on the link below, that is down in the comment section, and join us in this exclusive live session. So moving forward to University of Waterloo and giving it on to Prashant.
For sure. The question was describe the academic workload. So as Hannah mentioned, just like Toronto, U of T, Waterloo is definitely challenging. But the big thing over here is that students mostly come over here for the co-ops. They usually focus on co-ops. They come over here with a dream that, okay, one day, just like the upper years, they will land in San Francisco and Bay Area. They will be hanging around Teslas and clicking pictures around the San Francisco Bridge. So that's the dream that people come here for. They want to work at Apple, Google, Tesla. So, like, you know, even the course load is super challenging, the focus is more on co-ops. So this is where people really leverage the power of teamwork, which basically means that create really good friends. I shouldn't say create, but yeah, like, you know, you should have a good set of friends who are helping out at every point. Like, you know, literally I had my friends who would be helping out with understanding concepts, doing my assignments, my projects. So I would be done with my studies in a really short amount of time so that I can focus on my clubs and my conferences and just connecting to new people. And I think that really paid off well. If you have invested time in studying for IIT in your 11th and 12th grade, if you have done that, first year is super easy because you will be doing the same calculus, you'll be doing the same bio and physics and stuff like that. So it was super easy for me. But again, the third year, it becomes super difficult. So at that point, I just put in the work that was required. I got 75%. That's it. I didn't aim for 95 because I want to focus on getting my my goal was to get into New York City, my dream city. I got it. So my dream was I got my dream. I think that was more important for me. Now, if I talk about switching majors, that's a complex topic because if you are in first year and you think about switching majors, you haven't even experienced the core of that program, which usually starts kicking in between second and third year. And if you have got into second and third year and now you are trying to switch the program, most of the times I've seen with my friends in Waterloo, they had to start all over again. Now, some people in Canada, they are good with starting all over again, but I would recommend that for international students because we are paying 3 times the fees, and that is not a good decision. That's according to me. Now, adding minors, it's pretty easy. You can always go in, add really cool minors. We have in entrepreneurship. I'm doing that course every term. I absolutely love that. We have some super interesting professors. There is a course on gambling. There's literally a course on Harry Potter. They are trying to analyze like Harry Potter books and stuff like that. We have super interesting minors. And I haven't switched between minors a lot, so can't say for that. But yeah, overall, the course is challenging, but people come to Waterloo for co-ops. Third year will be super difficult. Leverage your team, leverage your friends, and get through it. And at the end, I hope you choose the right major. Even if you don't, just get through it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Prashant. Next, we have Fawad. If it's possible for you to keep the answer a little short because we're running out of time and we have a lot of questions. Apologize. Yeah.
Okay. So I would first off saying that, yeah, so my academic workload was quite bearable. We would take 5 courses per semester. For engineering, it was 6, so they had a lot more things. But for us, we did have a lot of labs and other things that took up a bit of time versus something like you'd study in like commerce or sociology. So those tended to be kind of like a bit on the easier side. And then for flexibility wise, so it is quite flexible. McMaster does a good job of having programs that have combined interests as well. So they have one program which is combining engineering and like health sciences. For me, the program I did was combining health sciences and business. So when I started off with general sciences, actually in second year, I had kind of specialized into bio and RSI. And then after that, did my business and science program. But because of like the common electives and the way it's structured, it was very easy for me to kind of switch it without kind of losing a year or having to do more courses outside of like the 5 that I wanted. So thankfully, it worked out for me. But McMaster did allow for quite a bit of flexibility.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Fawad. Very informative. Next, we have professional success. This would be more of an open discussion between all of us. And the question is, why?
Yeah. So yes. So just before that, quickly one question from Nayana, if I'm pronouncing the name correct, from Nazima and Jaza. They're asking about the scholarships that are available. So if each one of you can maybe talk about 1 or 2 scholarships in a very quick format, you can just name the scholarships and we'll discuss in detail in the WhatsApp chat. Yeah.
Great question. So I can add one thing about U of T. So one of the most prestigious scholarships available for international students in U of T is called the Lester B. Pearson Scholarship. It is a full ride scholarship where you get 100% of your tuition fees and also pocket money for your expenses relating to food, etc. This is a very, very competitive scholarship application, and only around 40 to 50 students all across the world get it. But I would still encourage each and every one of you to apply for that, since if you get it, it just changes your life because your parents don't have to pay anything at all. If Hannah has any more she can add about you.
I'm actually not too aware of international scholarships. I'm only aware of the domestic ones because I studied here. So yeah. I think that one was the good one. We'll move ahead to the other schools.
Excellent. Prashant might have some. my support?
Yeah, definitely. So we have the President Scholarship, which no matter you are domestic or international, you get $1,500 in your first year. And again, if you keep up your scores high, like if you get a minimum of 80% in your second year, then again you get 2,000 worth of President Scholarship. So this is a scholarship which everybody gets. Like everybody, no matter if you're domestic or international, you get it. Other than that, there's a full page of scholarship. I can add link over here and you guys can have a look. There's a ton of scholarships. They are very specific. Like, if you're invested in like climate change, if you have invested time in climate change organization, then there might be some scholarships regarding to that. And similarly, there are a ton of very specific, very key scholarships that we want to do.
Excellent, thank you. Fawad, are you aware of any international student scholarships in McMaster?
So we do have like a couple of international scholarships, but not only that, but like a lot of the scholarships there are open to anybody. So international students can also apply. The only thing is that I would recommend that the scholarships, like the entrance scholarships itself for McMaster, is not best. The highest tier one is like for $2,500. But keep in mind that Hamilton also does have a very low cost of living, so that could factor in. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
All right.
The last section. Any more questions?
So I think Karthik will take a question in the last Q&A session. Don't worry. So for
I think we lost her again.
Yeah. All right. Okay, guys. So we're just going to finish the webinar. We just have one question left. So it's about professional success. Very, very important. So while balancing academics, how important do you think it is for the students to explore possible job or internship opportunities within their first 2 years? Can you explain the significance of LinkedIn networking and building strong resumes from the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. So like over the years, not just the job market, but students themselves are getting like really competitive. And it's becoming a lot tougher to get jobs, get internships, just get into grad school, things like that. And so in order to sort of combat that competitiveness and set yourself up for success, is to start early, is to just outlearn other people. The things you can do is start building a personal brand, I would say, straight from first year. People like interviewers and college admission people don't necessarily want to just know what you're doing in class, what kind of grades you're getting. They want to know what you're doing outside of the classroom, who you are as a person. So start building your personal brand, start showing value in other community areas so that you can really build a story around who you are as a person. Where LinkedIn comes into that is essentially it's a platform for you to share your voice and to share what you're doing within your community. So you can use LinkedIn Learning to get new skills, to enhance on your skills. You can use LinkedIn to post what you're doing, to connect with other people from different universities, different communities, and also just follow whatever companies you might want to interview with in the future. And it's a great way to get industry insights and things like that. And so I would really say this should be something you should be starting right off from your first year, is to start working on your personal brand, start building a community, and start showcasing who you are as a person rather than just what you're doing in the classroom.
Great answer. Just wanted to add something about LinkedIn. Hannah mentioned LinkedIn, according to us, is magical. I wanted to share one experience about a post I recently shared on LinkedIn. I uploaded a presentation deck about an interview with a club in my university, and the national director at RBC actually loved it so much that he shared the post. He even messaged me, and that's how we scheduled a virtual coffee chat, and then he connected me with a lot of recruiters. So one post can change your life. That's why all of us here, I'm pretty sure, would recommend you to make an account on LinkedIn as soon as possible, because a lot of internships and job opportunities, a lot of possibilities lie on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty sure you guys will be amazed to use the platform as well. Next, we have Prashant.
Yeah. Sure. So the question is, how important is professional success? I think it's extremely important because, at least for me, the only reason I came to Canada was to start working, because I didn't want to only study for next 4 years. And I think Hannah has summarized it pretty well. That personal brand is super important because I literally know Ali and Hannah from LinkedIn for I think for last 1 year, and this is the first time I think we are getting on a call. So it's crazy. Like I already know what that feels like. So posting content on LinkedIn is super important. That's how you build personal brand. It could be maybe documenting your journey, maybe sharing about a really cool conversation you had with, let's say, a national director of RBC, or maybe sharing your journey or ups and downs of building your venture or your club or going through the interview process. So I have done that when I got into Microsoft. I started posting a lot of content. I started documenting my journey. That's how I grew from 0 to 10K followers. And then after I became a product manager, now I'm starting to share my product insights. I'm trying to build, and I'm trying to build, I'm trying to be a thought leader. Like, even though that sounds weird, I'm trying to just post a lot of content. This keeps me learning, and this also helps other learn from my experiences. So again, personal brand, super important. LinkedIn, a phenomenal resource. And yeah, if you come to Waterloo, Waterloo has an internal job portal. It's called Waterloo Works, so, which basically means that you are not competing with everybody around the world for internships. You're only competing with Waterloo kids. But again, the competition is rough because Waterloo kids only come for those star co-ops. So you have to work hard. You have to do everything outside school because literally everybody is going to classes. Everybody is going to labs. So that doesn't differentiate you. You have to go to conferences. You have to go to clubs. You have to create content, and you have to maybe get into these webinars and be a guest. Create your influence.
Great. Thank you so much, Prashant. Last, we have Bob.
Sure. So yeah, it's very important, especially to have like a LinkedIn presence, or even like a profile, just because nowadays a lot of people want to see more that you've done versus than just looking at like a 1 page or 2 page resume. And having your LinkedIn allows you to kind of put links to projects you've worked on, even have pictures of kind of things that you've done. So it's kind of very important to have a presence there as well. And you never know who you might meet. And now there's also no longer a guarantee of getting a job right after university. So it's very important to either do your own projects or work in internships, do some sort of co-op, or just build connections that you can kind of leverage going forward. But yeah, so I think overall, like, professional success is quite important, and it's very important for you to kind of keep that always in the back of your mind and keep updating it as you go along. It won't be perfect when you start off, but by the end of it, it'll be something that you can proudly kind of show people.
Excellent. Thank you. With this, we conclude the webinar. And again, I know we have a lot of questions. We'll try to answer all of them. I will be answering some on chat, and we will be answering some on the webinar as soon as possible.
Yeah. So here for everyone, we'll be moving to a live Q&A sections now, and we'll take all the questions that you've been asking so far, and we'll try to answer all of them as soon as possible. But just before that, one important thing about AdmitKard mentorship and one key takeaway from this webinar would be to understand the importance of right information. Right. So AdmitKard is in fact ready to give you all the perfect information you need along with a relevant mentor, which means according to your profile, the course that you're going for, the country, the university that you're aiming, we'll find a mentor from there and connect you with the respective mentor so that you can ask every question that you have all along your study abroad journey. With AdmitKard's mentor, I think you can be rest assured to get the real information that matters, and not just that, by having somebody by your side in a foreign country to take care of you, finalizing accommodation even before you go, and knowing exactly what you need to do when you go there, right? So also now in terms of what is special for all the attendees of this webinar is something that AdmitKard is going to offer you in your entire journey. So one important question that everybody has been asking is giving out the profile details and then asking which university should I go for, right? So that in fact depends on each individual. That varies with your budget, it varies with your score, it varies with your career prospects, your aspirations and everything, right? But where AdmitKard matters is you'll have a single person to guide you throughout, right? Once you come to us, you'll have so many questions in your mind. We'll keep taking them up, and one person, perfect counselor, will take care of you. In fact, most of the counselors are, enthusiastic people who've in fact studied abroad. They really understand the importance of the questions that you ask, and we'll answer them. There's one person to guide you throughout. We have expert advisors to in fact guide you throughout your journey. And the most important factor would be having mentors. So all these speakers who have been here have been giving out such great information is because they relate with you. They have been in your shoes once, and they relate with the problems that you have, right? So AdmitKard is in fact there to help you out with pretty much everything. And now, as we promised in the beginning, just before we move on to the live Q&A, we'll take that up soon. I would like to discuss what timeline do you need to follow for your admission process. So this is in fact for the next intake, right? On what you need, how you need to proceed. Ali, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. You caught in between.
Hello?
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So let us just quickly, in a span of three more minutes, let us discuss on how your timeline should be for the next immediate intake for Canada. And then along with AdmitKard, we'll make sure that comes true. So first of all, in July, you need to prepare for your SAT, ACT. So this is not just for Canada, but for any of the countries, right? So you need to prepare for any test that you need to give. And in fact, AdmitKard helps you out with your test prep, right? So you can join us with a batch which starts in July, and you can be rest assured about any preparation that you're going to have. In August, you need to prepare for IELTS. We have expert trainers at AdmitKard, so even if you need help for that, we'll be there to guide you out. So that is where AdmitKard becomes a one-stop solution. In September, take the mock test of these given exams that you need to go for, and basis your mock scores, we'll be shortlisting the best universities that you can go for, right? Going forward, in November, the most important part is finalizing an essay. So here, Ali, one question I would like to address to you is how important is writing an essay or writing an SOP or writing an LOR is in your admission process?
That is a very good question indeed. It's incredibly important for you to prepare your essay beforehand. It's very important for you to highlight the skills which you excel in: communication, team building, as well as your technical skills. So it's very, very important for you to write an SOP for your admission applications. Very important to highlight exactly who you are as a person, what you excel in, why you're passionate about this program. So again, different applications have different questions for the programs, but it's very important for you to highlight exactly why you would be the best person for the program. So that would be a little bit of advice on that.
Perfect. We have a question here from Rose, who's asking, what are the essays about and what should they contain? So to answer that, Rose, we'll take up in a very detailed format. If you can just join the link and we'll explain. We'll also put out some samples for you. And in fact, AdmitKard will also help you out to prepare the perfect one. So going forward in December, you need to target the scholarship deadlines and apply for the finalized universities. So university finalization is in fact a very, very crucial point for every student, right? So one thing, it depends on your career interests, it depends on your budget, it depends on some locality, perfect, some province that you want to go to, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into making a final shortlist, right? And depends on each individual. So for that, AdmitKard will perfectly help you out. Along with AI, we have a tool that gives you the perfect shortlist, and along with experts, that makes it perfect. In January, February, and March, you await your final decisions and the offer letters, right? In April, you have to make a decision on which
Hi, I think Pragya just cut down again. I guess I'm trying to answer all your questions on the WhatsApp chat. Trying my best. Just waiting for Pragya to join in. again.
Are there any questions we can answer in the meantime?
Yeah, I think let's go forward with that. So one question I saw was, what kind of programs do we have for engineering? Is anybody interested in taking that forward?
I guess Prashant would be the best person to answer that.
Yeah.
I would say overall though, like there are pretty much any type of engineering you can think of. Just because, yeah, there's so many different kinds, and I'm pretty sure you can find.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of like the biggest universities have a lot of engineering programs under them. So it really depends on what you want to do. Waterloo, as Prashant said, is the number one. He was biased, but I'm not. Waterloo is indeed the best for engineering and computer science, hands down. And U of T also has its own engineering faculty, which is also one of the top rated, includes mechanical, chemical, a lot of areas which you can go into. So again,
yeah, one of the cool programs that U of T also has is like engineering science, which is like that one specifically is probably the hardest one to get into, but it's also like the most like respected program there is. So it's like integrated science and engineering, but that's one cool program.
Next question.
Okay, so I'm so sorry, I'm back. That went off. To continue, So to continue, I'll just quickly take 1 more minute to continue this, and then we'll be moving on to the Q&A, right? So yes, Ali, the question that I had been asking then was, what factors should a student consider while shortlisting a university? Should it be university research? Should it be rank? What pointers should I be considering to finalize a university for myself?
Oh, that's a very good question indeed. I think everybody can add on to my points. So it actually depends on what you want to do. First, you need to really realize what kind of program you're looking for. Indian students like me always look at the rankings and the job opportunities, but we don't really realize that a university is huge. It has a lot of programs, and every university is good for their programs. It isn't necessary that U of T will be the best for everything. U of T is ranked number 1 in Canada, but that doesn't mean it's the best for computer science, right? Waterloo is hands down the best for computer science. So actually, firstly, you should start analyzing what kind of program you want to go into. What is your passion? Is it commerce? Is it engineering? Is it mathematics? Anything like that. The second would be, again, this is something which not a lot of people look for. You should look for the city you want to live in. U of T, the St. George campus, is located in downtown. It has access to all of the resources you might need, but again, it's like a headache because it's literally in the center of downtown, and you have cars going across, you have roads. So it really depends on what kind of life you want to live in as well. Is it a city? Is it a town? Do you want to live in a peaceful area with a beautiful campus? Waterloo is amongst one of the best. UTM also has a beautiful campus. So that is also something which you should look in. Third, again, I would say would be the fees. Finance is a huge part of university, and international students again have to pay a hefty sum of money. U of T is one of the most expensive. Waterloo is much more cheaper than U of T and provides better value in that sense. And again, different universities have different prices. So that would be the third point. Fourth, do you guys want to add anything to this? I think that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I think like you covered the main points, but one thing I would add is specifically for like your program, just look into like what do you value the most, right? Not necessarily like what has the best reputation, but what's more important to you. So right. If you're the kind of person that like looks forward to more research opportunities, then try and see which schools have more opportunities for that. If you're more interested in getting an internship, then focus on schools that have a better co-op program. So really just find out what you value the most, and then decide your school based on that, I would say.
Very good.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was exactly about to say what matters to you. It all depends on what matters to you. Is it the academics, research part? Is it the job opportunities, like working at cool companies? Or is it just the beauty? Then go to Vancouver. I love that city.
Yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Perfect. So yeah, in fact, there are a lot of pointers that depend in making the shortlist and making the final choice, and it is very personal. It's very individualistic. Something that changes with each individual. So to help you out, we have 600 mentors on the platform to help you out. Figure that out, along with Ali as well. So we'll help you out in that. You can again, like I mentioned before, click on the chat. You will, talk about your profile, and we'll give you the best option that we have. So yes, coming on to the timeline. Once you accept the final offer, you have to prepare your final documents, which with which you apply for the visa. And once your visa is done, and you can fly to Canada and complete your dream of studying abroad. But it's not as easy as it sounds. There are going to be a lot of troubles, but yes, AdmitKard will help you out, and along with the team member. Specifically, I would like to mention one of the team members here, and I'll tell you the importance of it again. So we have Priyanka, who's been into this industry for 10 years. The most peculiar point about everyone working at AdmitKard is that they have most of the counselors. They've been been abroad themselves. They've been students. They have been in their shoes, right? So for every one of you, somebody in AdmitKard, who's looking into your profile, exactly understands your problems, right? Understands and relates with you. So I would again say we'll help you out with everything possible. Priyanka is one of our counselors as well, and she's been heading the zone of counseling, and I'm sure she'll be happy to provide all the info that we can provide. These are some of the students, some of the universities that we have sent our students to in the last 1 year. So you can see a lot of topmost universities, and don't get confused with such all the names being out there. We'll figure out the best university for you, along with a mentor, somebody like Ali, who can guide you throughout, handhold you in your entire process, and even when you go abroad. So now is the time for our live Q&A chat. So I think we are going to get bombarded with questions here. But now for everyone, you can put your questions down in the chat section, and we'll take them up one by one. So I'll start with some of the questions that we already had, right? Okay, so I'll take a question from Ritika. Is it best to do international relations in Canada?
I think that's a great question. U of T has one of the best international relations degrees in Canada. It's also very competitive to get into. And definitely, if you think international relations is your passion, Canada is one of the best countries to study in. If anybody has any other points, they can add.
Yeah, I would say for international relations, like some of the programs I know about is, again, U of T is like the Monk School. And then there's also McGill. They both have a very strong reputation for like kind of international relations and policy.
So definitely, these things.
Yeah. The next question is from Rose. What are common applications for, and are they needed? So something about common applications.
So maybe I think what she means is about the, let's say, OUAC. So once you're applying for a university, there are general applications involved. For all universities in Ontario, you have to apply through a portal called OUAC, which Hannah mentioned in her answer. It's OUAC 105. That's for international students. And that's where you feed in your programs and universities you can apply for. So they are important. That's the only way you can get forwarded to different universities for their supplementary applications, which involve essays, etc. But these general applications, as far as I know, do not require any essays. They just require like personal information, basic information about you, including your name, school address, programs you might need. So it's very basic in that sense. No extra essays or anything of that sort.
Yeah. Again, I think it depends on the program as well. So most programs, again, they just look at like the academic requirements, your GPA, things like that. But then there are some programs that you have to kind of submit a supplementary application on the side for.
Right. Excellent.
Okay. So next question we have from Ashar Khan, courses related to law. So maybe I can help you with that, Ashar. So there are a lot of courses relating to law. There's like, there's business law, there's, paralegal, there's LLM, there's economy. I think there are like huge, variety of courses, and specifically in Canada, there's like different specializations are available, and that is awesome. Like somebody can choose, exact field they want to get into, right? So, in case anybody can add on to this.
Anybody has information about law? Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah, I have a general understanding. So from what I know is that I don't think there are many prerequisites that you have to take. There are like the LSATs that you take usually to get into law school. But for the most part, you can do your undergraduate education in mostly anything. There are programs which are kind of geared towards people who want to go into it, like political science. There's a program in master that kind of has that. But I don't think you necessarily are tied down to taking like pre-law or something.
Perfect. So I'm remembering from all the mentors that we have, all the courses that, the mentors are from. So I think we have mentors from criminal law, something related to economy. So they're like huge variety of courses. So Ashar, join the link on the top and we'll help you figure out the perfect course for you. Next question is from Muzammil. What's the cost for PG in Canada?
Again, I would say that we are well suited for answering questions related to undergraduate courses. But what I know about postgraduate is that the cheapest options available are diplomas. These are universities, including like colleges, including Humboldt College and George Brown College, Centennial College. These provide great value to students. They have a one-year degree in commerce and engineering, computer science, anything you might need. And they all have also helped a lot of students in securing jobs. A lot of Indian students study bachelor's in India, and then they come to Canada for a one-year diploma degree. And it's obviously a very great option for them to pursue because they always have jobs readily available for them.
Perfect. So I hope, Muzammil, that answers your question. Next question from Akshata Agrawal. What are best scholarships for commerce students? So for all of you guys, is there any particular scholarship that is just available to commerce students?
So it depends again from university to university. I think like Prashant mentioned, if you get around 80% in your second year, you get a scholarship. It's very similar in Rotten Commerce, the business school here. It depends on your performance as well. If you perform well academically, you always have options to get further scholarships. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you can only get scholarships when you apply for universities. If you perform well in your 4 years, you're definitely eligible for getting scholarships inside of that part as well. That's all I know.
Yeah. So for universities, there tend to be scholarships which are generic scholarships, just based on your GPA. So that's open to everyone and anyone across all the faculties. And then certain faculties have certain scholarships which are kind of restricted for their students, just based on like the donors who've been donating to that program. So for example, like the Faculty of Health Sciences might have different scholarships versus like Faculty of Commerce. So there are those that you can apply for as well. Certain courses actually also have scholarships where, if you do like the best in like a certain course, then there's a scholarship you can get for that. But again, there's a huge list available on each university's website where you can kind of filter by the program that you're in and kind of find out which one might work for you.
Yeah, specifically for U of T, like we also have in-course scholarships as well as like between faculties. And then in addition to that, like I mentioned, at the main campus, we have 7 different colleges. So each of the colleges also have their own scholarships. And so you can be from any program for that. But if you're just part of that college hub, you can apply to those specific scholarships as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. So next question we'll take from Kirti. Is it better to take finance or marketing?
Oh, again, that would depend on what you're passionate about. A lot of students end up taking finance because they think it will help them in the future. I was under a similar situation. I am studying commerce at U of T, and every student used to take finance because U of T is known for its finance degree. Again, I would say it depends on your passion. And now, since I took marketing, which is something I'm really passionate about, I was able to secure jobs and internships related to the role. So it depends on what you like. Do not go with the flow. A lot of students might tell you, I'm taking finance, let's take finance as well. Don't do that. Always listen to yourself and do not undermine any degree. Marketing always helps you earn more money as well. Finance also is on the same part. So no faculty, no degree is bigger than the other one. It all depends on your choice.
And one thing I'd like to add to that, just when you look at like the jobs that you want to apply for, or like just look at your dream job and look at what the requirements are for that. For example, for finance, some might actually have to do more education just to get like a professional designation. Like here you have like CPA for accounting. And then even if you want to be like a financial advisor, there's other like certificates that you have to get for that. For marketing, you might, again, there might be some certificates you might need to do for that, but less common. But yeah, just something to look for is just look at your jobs that you're interested in and then look at kind of what their requirements are. And, depends on how much you want to study, what certificates you want to get, what diplomas you want to get.
That's a very well way to decide what courses you might do.
Perfect. So one thing again for all the people watching this on YouTube, you can in fact join the link on the comment section that would give you the access to join us live here so that you can ask questions from our panel today. So we'll take up another question. We have Sashil who's asking, I'm pharmacy. Okay, the questions are just getting mixed up. It's really great to have such a good response from all you guys. So I'll just scroll back to view the question. Also, I would like to remind everyone that this is just the first webinar of the series that we have. We have another webinar tomorrow at 7 p.m. again, and we'll come up with another panel from other, part of Canada and other top universities. Now, coming on to the question, have heard that Canada best for hospital pharmacy. If you're interested, what are the top options? So Ali, in fact, this is one question that I've been facing a lot in this entire chat and the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
A question is relating to pharmacy and psychology. So can you guys just quickly give your views on both the domains very quickly?
That's a great question. Hannah, I think, would be a good person to answer this.
I mean, I can speak to psychology, actually and pharmacy, I guess, at U of T specifically. So for the I know for some schools, like psychology is considered to be in their arts or their social sciences background. But in U of T, it's considered part of the science degree. So in first year, you would just be in general what we call life sciences. And then from there, you can choose to go into psychology or you can choose to go into pharmacy. For pharmacy, you do, I think, have to take an extra year. And then for psychology, it's the traditional 4-year program. So it depends on what school you're going to, but specifically at U of T, they both would be considered under the life science degree.
So psychology also, tends to be like more undergraduate program.
So one question.
Whereas pharmacy, you have to go to like an actual kind of postgraduate education or like pharmacy school for that.
So one question we have from Karthik, what program did Prashant sir opt? So Prashant, could you just answer that?
I actually just responded to him in private. I studied nanotechnology engineering. The only reason I chose nano was because number one, it sounds so cool, nanotechnology. And number two is because it was not pigeonholed into one particular area. So I wasn't only doing programming or wasn't only doing chemical engineering, but I was actually doing everything. So nanophysics, which leads to quantum computing. I was doing nanochemistry, which leads to building like cure for cancer. Then nanoelectronics, which leads to building nanobots. So it was a lot of cool stuff, a lot of sci-fi stuff. So that's the reason I chose nanotechnology.
Great. Just one more thing I had to say. So we have only around 7 minutes to go. Our speakers have a little bit more obligations to complete. You guys can join the WhatsApp chat, and if we're not able to answer any questions of yours, AdmitKard is the leading college counseling firm in India. They can definitely help you out, and I'm a mentor there as well. I can definitely assist you with your applications in undergraduate or anything like that. But we only have 5 more minutes. So sorry, guys.
Perfect. No worries. We'll take up the questions quite quickly then. Which exams are required for admissions in engineering apart from class 12 grades? So this is a question from Suryansh.
I mean, I don't think there are any exams required apart from that for engineering. All you need is a science degree in your high school, which includes physics, chemistry, math, and maybe if you have any extra Olympiads which you have appeared for, they would be very beneficial in your application. But as far as I know, there are not any extra exams you might have to get for that degree. Prashant, Prashant has anything else to add? Yeah.
I think mostly if you're coming to Canada and you're gonna study in Waterloo, you don't even need IELTS. I don't know what exam is there to give. You don't give SAT, you don't give IELTS, you just get in with your 12th grade marks. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dhwani says you guys are doing a fabulous job. Thank you so much, Dhwani. We are actually here for you guys. So stay tuned with us for tomorrow's webinar as well. So here, I think we can combine a lot of queries that we are seeing. So what I'll do is I'll speak up a domain or some department, and maybe each one of you can talk about the best university for that particular domain, because I think that's a common question, you know, which is the best university for engineering or which is the best university for some other course. So maybe starting with engineering, according to you guys, which is the top university? Maybe you can do. I think we can start with Fawad there and then move along.
Sure. So I think, yeah, for engineering, it depends on the type of engineering, but for computer science, definitely Waterloo, that hands down. For environmental engineering or like civil engineering, I've heard McMaster has like good programs for that. But other types of engineering, I mean, I'm not too familiar with. Biomedical engineering and stuff, McMaster has good programs with that as well. But yeah.
And I think you
Perfect.
has
Next is Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah.
Sure. I mean, I agree. I think Waterloo has got pretty renowned reputation for engineering. And then, of course, I'm a little bit biased because I'm going to say U of T would probably be second for me, especially related to like the unique programs that there are at U of T, like engineering science. So I would say U of T, but definitely like look into each school and specifically what programs they have for engineering, because every school has their own like benefits.
And yeah, Prashant.
Definitely, we know the answer. The answer is Waterloo. And I think it's also a really good way to supplement your academics with co-ops. Waterloo is the best for co-ops, so definitely come to Waterloo.
They also have a good, very startup
Perfect.
atmosphere there. So if you're interested in like startups and that kind of culture, the Waterloo has a strong reputation for that as well.
Definitely. That's how I got my first co-op. I just went into Velocity, which is our startup incubator, and you just have a ton of people to provide you opportunities.
Excellent. 3 more minutes.
Perfect. So I think next domain that we can take maybe is life sciences. So which university do you think is really good for life sciences courses? So starting with Hannah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in life science, so I would definitely say I chose U of T as number one because of its research opportunities. Like I mentioned, like we have such a large community that there's like so many research opportunities. And when you're looking for life science programs, that's basically what's most important for you, is what kind of labs can you get into, what kind of research work can you do? So I would definitely say like U of T tops that for me. But yeah, a close second might be McMaster just because of their health science program, which is a little bit different. But specifically for life science, I would say U of T.
I agree with Hannah as well.
Yeah, and I guess same thing for me. Like
So
I would
Fawad,
say like U of
question.
T and McMaster, both very strong leaders in like sciences and just research. And there have been very cool innovations that have come out from both universities. As for like literature writing and stuff, we have like very great like profs who are, I guess, like world leaders. Like you could literally go on Wikipedia pages on some of these topics and find that they're cited in that, which is really cool. But yeah, just scientific research at both these universities, strongly recommended.
Great.
Perfect.
I don't know much about life sciences, but I agree with Hannah, Ali, and Fawad. Yeah.
Okay. One last question we can take.
Yeah. So, okay. So next domain I think we can take up would be business, MBA, and finance, marketing, everything combined. So I think it's going to be University of Toronto, since Ali, you're from that university.
Yeah.
So Ali, we can start with you.
Definitely. So for undergraduate, so there are different rankings for undergraduate and graduate. I would be talking about undergraduate first. The number one would be Western Ivy School of Business. Not a lot of people know about this. It's one of the best business programs you can get in. Please do research a little bit more about it. Second would be between Queen's Smith School of Business and Broughton Commerce at the University of Toronto. Both of these are stellar business schools. And U of T, on one hand, is a little more academically focused for commerce, and Smith is a little more extracurricular focused. Third, I would say UBC Sauder School of Business. Again, a stellar business program with a lot of opportunities in terms of extracurriculars and academics, very well balanced. And that is for undergraduate. For graduate, I would say the number one would be the Rotman MBA. It's the best known all across the world. And Sauder MBA is also great. McMaster MBA. And I think maybe Fawad would know better on the MBA side, if he can answer. So that's
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, like pretty much you can't go wrong with like top 10 universities. Each have their own MBA programs. They each have their own like industry connections. But again, it's not about like the program itself, and the content that you're taught is very similar across these universities. It's more about kind of what you do with that program and kind of where you kind of leverage the relationships that your university has built. So I think there's that. For doing business, one cool thing about Western's like IB program is that they allow you to do a dual degree, where you could do like a business degree versus and combine that with like a degree in something else. So for example, I know people who've done like computer sciences and computer engineering with like their IB School of Business, and that kind of expanded their opportunities as well in both.
Yeah, another thing specifically about IB at Western is also that you get in after your first 2 years. So you basically can major in whatever you want in your first 2 years. So I guess it's better like if you want to be more flexible, or if you're not really sure if you want to go into commerce yet, then you could do that. You could literally be in science, actuarial science, like comp sci, anything. And then if you have the right grades, you can get into the IB school for your final 2 years, and you'll get that commerce degree. And also, I just wanted to mention, we also mentioned UBC, and that we kind of neglected that for science, but UBC is also a pretty good school for sciences and life science in general. So definitely would consider that as well.
Last, Sean.
I wouldn't have much knowledge about business school, but I think I agree with you guys.
Excellent.
I think
Guys,
it's really good.
with this, I think we conclude the webinar for today. We went, I think,
Yes.
30 minutes more. We are definitely open to having all your questions answered via the WhatsApp chat. AdmitKard is there. I am there. I've also included the links for all of our speakers, their LinkedIn links. Please feel free to connect with them. They would be happy to answer your questions within their times. And Pragya, would you like to conclude?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for everyone, yes, please click on the link on the top. I will send that again in the chat. And tomorrow we have a webinar at 7 again, and we'll include a new panel from another list of universities across Canada. We'll again take up all the queries that you have. It might be about anything. One important thing I would like to mention here is every one of you has a different profile, right? So it is very important to know what you are aiming. It is really important to understand what your career aspirations are. You cannot generalize that, but yes, there are people to help you out. You can connect with a panel. At the same time, click on the chat and we will connect you with a relevant mentor, the same course, the same university that you're targeting, and somebody will be there to handhold you throughout your entire journey. Or you have any doubts, you can shoot it up in the WhatsApp group, or what you can do is to mail it at info@admitcard.com, and we'll get back to you ASAP. And on that note, I'll see you tomorrow again, along with Ali and along with a special panel. But here, thank you so much, Hannah, Prashant, and Fawad, for joining us today. It was really insightful. I hope for every student, they got a list of questions answered. At the same time, some wonderful information that was not, anywhere available. So thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And it was great to see such a large audience here. And like Ali said, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I'm sure I can say the same for the other panel speakers as well. We're all open to be helping you and answer your guys' questions. So don't hesitate in reaching out.
Yeah.
That's a perfect summary. Thanks, Ali. Thanks, Pragya. Thanks, everyone, for joining over here.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. And yeah, looking forward to connect with all of you.
All right. See you guys.
Perfect.
Bye.
So we'll see you tomorrow again at 7. You'll have the links with you. Join the link on the top, and we'll make sure you have the link there. So on that note, take care, guys, and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.